Okay, so today's adventure is the Chiang Mai Zoo and Aquarium. I'm more interested in the aquarium than I am in the zoo because I went to a zoo already on this trip. But I've heard that this aquarium is like the biggest aquarium in Asia, apparently. So pretty cool. There's supposed to be like a really significant series of like underground tunnels where you can kind of like walk amongst the creatures, like within their habitats, of course. So you're kind of walking underwater. So got my map. I am somewhere down at the bottom, and I need to be somewhere at the top. They charge for a lot of extra stuff here. Like they have like some sort of panda exhibit that you have to cough up an extra couple of bucks to get into, and like I think there's like buses and trams to go around. But I'm gonna explore and just figure it out, which is sort of my standard MO. I have no idea what kind of creatures I'm gonna see here, other than maybe a panda. So more details.
So, here's our good pal the elephant getting fed by some other tourists. This is pretty much like the funnest thing that I think you can do in Thailand is feeding the elephants. It's like, it doesn't look as fun when you're watching somebody else too, but when you're actually doing it yourself, it's like the greatest thing you've ever done. Alright, so a couple interesting things to point out. One, the zoo has a monorail, and that's pretty slick. I'm not sure how much it costs exactly. Probably figure that out at some point. So over here, let's walk a little closer so you can see this guy. Over here, we have the ostriches. I've actually passed by some ostriches that were hanging out with some giraffes back here. So you saw the monorail and you saw the ostrich. But over here, they have like a driving street. So people are actually driving through here with their cars. And there's little like kind of bus things that people taking tours on. And they actually will stop and, like back here they were feeding elephants. So like they were feeding elephants from the tram. But then you come over here, and you notice like everywhere else, there's a 7-Eleven.
Okay, so behind me is the aquarium, which is kind of in the middle of this big zoo. And it was pretty cool in the sense that I did see some creatures that I've never seen before. This is one in particular that stuck out to me. It was like it was a fish that actually had like enough of its sort of like front fins that it could actually like leave like the water. So it was kind of like halfway between like a regular fish and like a frog. So it would kind of come out and do some stuff, and it would have the big bulging like things going on here, and then back underwater, which is pretty interesting. And I found that as I was walking through this whole exhibit, it's a long sort of tunnel you follow, and I'm kind of finding that I'm like getting a little more like anxious, and I'm like, I don't want to see that. Let's keep going. And then I leave the aquarium and I go up the hill, and that's where like the Australian exhibit is. Like, koalas, I don't want to see koalas. And I'm getting more and more irritable, and it's occurring to me that I actually like haven't eaten anything yet, and so it's like it's now almost 3 o'clock, and I just like backtracked a little bit and had like the big old plate of rice and whatever. Which is actually also kind of interesting because I've now been here like, I don't know, this is like my 4th week, and this is the first place that I've been to where I want to order some food, and there's literally like no English at all. Like, they have like English numbers, so I think everybody in the world pretty much seems to use like our number system. So I know how much things cost, but I didn't actually know what I was ordering. So it was the good grace of having a lot of stuff, food by pictures, so that kind of helped out. But it was interesting. So, in all that time, like this is the first time that, not speaking any Thai at all actually has been sort of like a barrier. So yeah. And the next thing on the map is there's like a large, I've seen some stuff like already. I saw some tigers, I saw a lion, I saw a white tiger. And I understand there's some other of those guys around. I'm going to be heading kind of farther down past the Australian exhibit, seeing a lot more things like more deer and more. I think we're kind of getting into the realm of like the safari kind of stuff. So like you'll see a little more like fun like African animals. I saw some elephants already, but not African elephants. So I thought they'd have African elephants stuff. So I'm going to go check out some of that stuff. So, fun story. I visited this temple earlier today and came back to the hotel room. And I wasn't feeling so great, so I was chilling out, drinking some water. And then I started to feel kind of sick, so felt like there was pressure building in my head. And at one point, so this is after a couple hours of feeling kind of gross. So I decided, like, all right, I have traveler's insurance. I'm not gonna fuck around. So went outside, grabbed the taxi to, which he overcharged me for, the son of a bitch. Took me to a hospital. Forgot to bring my passport, but remembered to bring the iPad so I could figure out how to get back here, and I have a picture of the passport inside the iPad. So went down there, they do the blood pressure thing, they take your temperature, and they get to chat with this doctor. And essentially, he gave me 2 prescriptions. One is acetaminophen, i.e. aspirin. So it gives me 2 tablets every 6 hours for pain and fever. It's generic aspirin. The second one is betahistine. Under the under the title of Cerc, S-E-R-C, of 80 milligram tablets. So the contents is betahistine, betahistine, and it is for treating Menagerie syndrome, as defined by vertigo, hearing loss, tinnitus, symptomatic treatment of vestibular vertigo. The undesirable effects are gastric complaints, rash, peritonitis, and urticaria. I looked most of this up because I thought, might as well like Google it all before I take these things. And so basically, they seem to be both kind of like pretty safe, generic-y kind of things. But basically, I'm being treated for like the symptoms of vertigo, and maybe it'll just go away, and like it's an aspirin. He didn't think I had food poisoning, which I thought was probably the most likely case, because I've had food poisoning before, and food poisoning not cool. But the recommendation is I take 2 of the aspirins every 6 hours for pain and fever, because I don't want either of those. And it was 1 tablet 3 times a day after breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And this is like the treatment. So I first show up and I'm kind of having a little bit of harder time concentrating, but I kept my wits about me and hand over the piece of paper that has like the traveler's insurance stuff, with the expectation that there would be like, oh, tourists, better call this number. Because when I originally got the insurance, they told me if I was having a hard time, they could call this number and they could converse in whatever language I needed them to. So they take that, they take your information, and they hand me all that stuff back. They end up in the pharmacy, which is also like the billing department. And they present me a bill, and I'd be like, oh, wait, I got this number, you should call them. They'll, pay you for that. And then the explanation, I didn't quite completely understand it, but it was like, I think I had to leave my passport and they had to check some stuff, and then they would be able to like immediately charge that, or I could just pay them and call this number afterwards. So that's what I did. Or I didn't actually call them because it's late at night. I'm going to take this stuff, and it was very reasonable actually. So it was 630 baht, which is like $40, and that's like $40 for like the hospital visit, hanging out with the nurse, talking to the doctor, and getting the prescription, which I can get reimbursed for. And this is like nothing, like I don't even care, but I will call them. And they give me the printouts so I can take this back to my doctor and say, oh, here's all this stuff. And then I came back here after a second taxi driver charged me even more, the fucker. And so I Google everything, find out what the stuff is. I'm actually feeling all better now, by the way. Google it all, figure out like, what are they actually giving me? What was the prognosis? The doctor, by the way, immediately ruled out stuff like high blood pressure chronically. So which one's high blood pressure? That is hypertension, and avoided any neurological stuff, so I don't have a stroke. And does like the whole like billion little test they do. And they sent me back home, and which is a hotel that's not that far away, and gave me these instructions with tablets. So although I am somewhat, I don't know, about like
visiting a doctor and taking tablets from like a pharmacy from another country. I'm reasonably sure I will not expire, so I will do an update video in the morning. I'm actually going to go grab some water first. So I'll grab the water, I'll come back here, I will take the pills, and then I will update for the morning to see how well I feel like I'm doing. And if this is the last you heard from me, you know that things did not go well. I'm feeling pretty good, actually. So that is the story. I'm trying to whisper because it's late, and I got a noise complaint yesterday because I was watching videos till late in the morning. So I will update you in the morning, and that will be that.